Welcome back to Single Parent Success Stories. I am your host, Irina Shekhovtsov, and today I'm joined by parenting coach MegAnne Ford, the creator of the CLEAR method: connection, limits, empowerment, accountability, and reconnection. If you ever struggled with meltdowns, boundaries, or balancing firm and kind parenting, you're in the right place. MegAnne shares how she turned her teaching experience into a transformative coaching approach that empowers single parents how to build strong, secure relationships with their children. Let's dive in. Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible. Before we start the next conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, The Gift Inside, a powerful guide for healing your body, mind, and soul. Reclaim your strengths and awaken your true potential. Whether you are navigating heartbreak or simply seeking deeper fulfillment, this book offers the tools to turn your struggles into triumphs. It is time to unlock the gift within you. Available now on Amazon, or you can check it out on my website www.irinashekhovtsov.com. Hello and welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. Today we have a special guest, MegAnne Ford, a passionate parenting coach dedicated to connecting with children and discovering their confidence in parenting. MegAnne has developed a transformative approach that builds a safe and secure parent-child relationship. Her proven CLEAR method empowers parents to navigate challenges like tantrums, meltdowns, and overwhelm with practical tools. Her coaching provides actionable strategies and support, allowing parents to show up as their best self. Welcome, MegAnne. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Irina. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So please share with us, how did you discover that CLEAR method?
The short answer is I was once talking to one of my clients and she had a breakthrough, and I just simply said to her, right, you connected, you set the boundary, you let them make the choice, and then you followed through, and then you unpacked it and reconnected. And she said, MegAnne, that's the clearest and fastest you've ever told me about the process. And I was like, huh. So I noodled on it for a while, and I was like, yeah, I mean, that's like every interaction, no matter if it's with a child, an adult, someone close to me, someone new to me, that's the same process I executed unconsciously for a long time. And I noodled on it for a while, and I was like, yeah, everything boils down to those 5 steps. And I like a system, I like something repeatable. I was a teacher for 14 years in early childhood, and so when you're in that dynamic, it's high intensity all of the time. Like, the only quiet time is during nap time, but even then is very stressful. And you're dealing with not only just I had 16 kids in my class. Not only was I dealing with like the 16 kids, I was dealing with the 16 kids and potentially 32 or 64 parents, on top of the other teachers, on top of the other staff members, on top of my and that was just in my work life. And that was just for one classroom. And during the day, I typically had 3 transitions. We had a morning room, a preschool room, and then an afternoon room. So multiply that by 3. That's like how many relationships and dynamics were going on all the time. And it can lead someone quick to burnout. And so innately, I just created this system that allowed me to stay grounded and allowed me to stay in my composure and my logical, rational mind the most. It's not perfect, but at least then I knew when there was a breakdown or when something was like, oof, not right, I could then be like, wait, where is it? And where did I skip and where did I miss? And so the CLEAR method, right, stands for connection. That's the first step. So no matter who I meet, I lead with connection. And what that means is I'm looking at what's going on in my body. Am I calm and responsive and open? Are they calm, responsive, and open? And if the answer is no, that's what I focus on. If we can't talk, if we can't see eye to eye, if we can't get on the same page, if I'm not able to hold your perspective and you're not able to hold my perspective, there's no use moving forward, right? So that's the first step. The second step is limits. That's boundaries, agreements, routines. Like, what is the line here? And what is the exchange here? What are we kind of going back and forth about? And let's get clear on that. Let's get very defined, concrete. So is it a visual? Is there a time limit? Is there an expectation? Is there a need that needs to be met? Like, what are we like moving towards? Once that's defined, right, we can talk to each other and then we define it. Now we step into empowerment, and empowerment means choice. And I think that this is a very, the empowerment is the crux of all of this, is that everyone is in free will and free choice all the time. I am, you are, we are together. After that, we move into accountability, and that's where we learn from what our choice was. That's the consequence, but not punishment, consequence of the action that was taken. And then after that consequence, what can we do to unpack it, to reflect on it, to reiterate, to celebrate in it, to rejoice in it, to recover in it, to reconnect in it, to apologize, to forgive, and then that leads us softly back into that state of connection. So that's the short answer and the long answer.
Awesome, I love it. Very, very well. Like, I like how in the beginning you start to assess how the person is feeling first, getting there before moving on. I think that's crucial step, because oftentimes life is so fast and we could be in our own head dealing with our own issues before I could react. And you had, I don't know how teachers do it. I give very grateful for them. I don't know how much they have capacity, to deal, not just to try to teach something to kids, but behaviorally and, making sure, so regulating all of that. Incredible. What kind of brought you on this path of discovering, so originally you were a teacher and then you kind of dove into that work. What was the culprit that kind of caused you to start searching for this?
Yeah, I guess I have always been, in second grade, I have a journal from the end of second grade, and it was like, what is your summer plans? And written in my sweet, sweet handwriting was, my sister's going to have a baby and I'm going to get to babysit. I was so excited from such an early age just to be around kids. I love kids. So as a kid, I was like, I can't wait to play with more kids. And I just never left that space. So when I went through school, I've been around children closely and taking care of and around caregivers since second grade. And when I was 18, I entered the field of professional caregiving. And I stayed in that field for 14 years. And then what made me transition out of that field was my last year of teaching. I was coming home from winter break and I was in the car with my husband, and I told him I did not want to go back to work. And he was shocked. It took him off guard. He was like, what? You are someone who eats, breathes, lives this. What? And you're so good at it. Why? And I said, I just can't do the other adults anymore. It's burning me out. And what I mean by that is, at the time, I would go into work and quickly make it to my classroom, which was at the end of this hall, and I would set it up and then I would close the door. And the kids would come in and I would open it and I'd close the door. And people would come into my room and be like, wow, it's so stressful out there, but I can come into a room full of kids and feel so calm in here. And I was like, yeah, that's why I always keep my door closed, because it was the stress of the outside stress, the yelling, the nagging, the demeaning, the bossing, the just harshness was something that I fiercely was protecting. And I realized I was making an island in my classroom. And for someone who thrives on connection, who thrives on this safety and security in a relationship, I was like, wow, I don't feel safe in there. I'm creating safety in a space that does not feel safe to me. And he said, well, what is it that you would love to do instead? And I was like, man, I love it when parents come to me and says, my kid won't. My kid won't put on their shoes. My kid won't clean up their toys. My kid won't go to bed. My kids won't be potty trained. My kids won't do X, Y, Z. They're always fighting, or they're always whining, and I don't know what to do. And I say, well, it's not a question of if they're going to do it. It's the question of how and what supports are needed. And that we can do. And so I would work with the kids in my class. Their parents would come to me and say, my kids do it here for you, but they don't do it at home for me. I was like, well, do you want to know what I'm doing? like, I'll teach you. And so I would go to their houses on the weekends. I would meet them on my lunch break. I would come early to school, after school. They had my cell phone number. I would text them and help them through these things. And really what I learned is like they were learning a skill set, right? Like they were a parent, they had a child, they loved their child deeply, but the skill set of caregiving and the skill set of building security, the skill set of meeting needs, the skill set of holding boundaries and having these expectations, that was new. It was new. And they're like, wow, I had no idea that that's what this was. And so I said, I would like to do that. And he was like, well, why don't you do that then? And I like Googled, I was like, people can't do that, Jason. Like, that's not even a job. Like, so snarky. And I Googled how to help parents be better parents. And it said, like, become a parenting coach. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this was a job. And I was like, yeah, duh, this is me. Like, this is exactly what I've been doing for free. and on top of, like, doing it with their kids. So almost 9 years ago, July 4th will be 9 years, right? I started in 2016. So yeah, July 4th, I formed my LLC. And then that August, started working with clients, helping do this work in their homes, right? There's a stigma that I can always tell when someone is not clued into the coaching process or even self-development, because they'll be like, oh, you're a parenting coach. I know someone who needs to work with you. And then I always say, probably it's you. If you're coming to me saying that, it's probably you. And they always kind of like look at me like, what? I'm like, it's not just for bad parents. It's not just for the parents who have out of control kids. These are parents who are saying, hey, I'm ready to improve. I want to learn these skills. I'm feeling like this was not what I was signed up for. And I meet them and say, hey, yeah, this is, again, high intensity, high demand all the time. And I can teach you a system that can help it feel more manageable. Not perfect, not without stress, but we can start to ride the waves of stress and ride the waves of expectations a little bit easier. And a lot of times it's learning simple core skills, changing the way that we're requesting, initiating our interactions, that really can make a big difference for a child.
Yeah, totally. I love that. You're so right. What are some of the common mistakes parents make when dealing with tantrums or meltdowns?
Oh, right. This is a big topic. One of the common mistakes. Well, first, I would say what I hear the most of is they'll say, well, like, I try to ignore it, right? And we're like, so commonly, right? It's like, oh, your kid is tantruming or melting, just ignore it. And like, wow, imagine like your best friend coming to you being like, I had a terrible day. My boss did this and I was late for work and I got a flat tire, and they're crying and crying and crying, and like you just ignore them. Like, I know that I've actually probably had friends who've done that to me, and let me tell you, our friendship is very short. Our friendship is very, very short, because that's not how I want to be treated, and that's not how I would treat them, right? And so for a child who's tantruming or melting down, like, it can feel overwhelming, and we can take on this like urgency in ourselves to be like, oh, I have to fix, or I have to rescue it, or I have to make them stop. But if we can change it to make them stop, to just be with them in it and connect to them in it, and that looks like saying like, wow, you're really mad right now. And that's it, right? Let them cry, let them get it out, let them do it. Right? If I can connect to you and I can know what the boundary is, then I can help discern. A tantrum is what we call an upper brain overwhelm, meaning that they still have logical insights. They still have understanding of what's happening. They're still able to access language. So a tantrum is often about something that is something that can be solved and would end the tantrum quickly if they got it. So like, think about examples like, I don't want to brush my teeth, and they're tantruming, and you're like, fine, don't brush your teeth. And then instantly they stop, right? That tells me that was a tantrum. That was an upper brain tantrum. Like, stay firm with it. Stay firm with like, hey, the question isn't you have to brush your teeth. The question is how and what, and where can we drop expectations and be like, yeah, this is really hard right now. How can we do it? What would make it easier to do it? Right? We can lower the pressure and then still hold on to the boundary. Versus a meltdown is where maybe there's some sensory, like let's use this toothbrushing example from the tantrum. A meltdown is when they're disconnected from logic. They are lost in the ocean without a life raft, right? They're not trying to get anything. They're just purely overwhelmed. Typically, I see this most with like going into a grocery store, going into a loud sensory experience. And it can happen in the bathroom, right at bedtime. They're feeling overwhelmed about bedtime. They're feeling the pressure of separation. They're feeling like they're going to miss out on things. That can be all emotionally flooding. And then the sensory experience of brushing their teeth could just be overwhelmed. And there's no logic, there's no language. They're just crying and upset. And you're like, wow, it came out of nowhere, or I don't know what to do, right? That's where, again, we can connect and be like, wow, this is really overwhelming for you. And that's where we can say, hey, maybe we could take a break. Let's take a break and calm down and try again, right? So I'm not pushing to get the task done. I'm just slowing down and saying, hey, if they're crying, if they're in distress, if they're in overwhelm, that's a sign to me to slow everything down. That's my job as the adult, because I am the person who has access to my logical executive mind. My brain is fully developed. They're looking to me. If I'm asking them to calm down and I'm not calm, then I'm asking them to do something that I'm unwilling or unable to do myself. And like, imagine asking a child to do something that I don't even have access to. That's backwards, right? And so if we can slow down and be like, wow, okay, this is not a sign to like push harder or make them brush their teeth. This is actually a sign to say, hey, whoop. I like envision the timeout sign, like timeout. Not time out, go to your room, but time out, like the referee needs to come in and be like, whoop, everybody, let's bring it back down and let's reset and try again. And I know I'm saying this and it's hard. It's hard when there's urgency of like, well, if I let them do that, then we're going to be late to a doctor's appointment, or I'm going to be late to work, or I'm going to be late, right? There's all these urgencies happening. And I'll say, yes, I hear it and I feel it and I know it and I get it. And that urgency, again, is the adult's responsibility to soothe. Yesterday, I was not intending on sharing this, but yesterday I was with I think he's 20 months old, and I was with him all day yesterday, and he was just like really pushing. He's like in that stage, he's moving from like babyhood into toddlerhood, and he's found a voice. He can shake his head and nod his head now, and now he's saying yes and he's saying no, and right, he's like very clear with it, right? And that's power. He's like, haha, I can say no, right? It's exciting, right? So he was testing it out, right? Testing boundaries. He's testing it all out, and it was nap time, and it was time for him to get his diaper changed, and he said no, and he ran to the side of the room, and in that moment, this was new, I started to feel a little bit of anger pop up, a little bit of urgency, like I have to get you down for bed. If you like, it starts to quickly like snowball, and I said, I'm gonna calm down myself here, MegAnne, get myself back online, take a deep breath. Tell me like it's okay. I said, okay, how much time do I have to give this? And I said, all right, I'm willing to give this like 5 minutes. Like, let's play in 5 minutes. Like, let's play for 5 minutes. Meaning I stayed where I needed him to go, right? I'm holding the boundary. No, it's diaper time. You've run to the other side of the room, but I'm staying here with diaper, right? I'm grounding my energy here. He ran to the side of the room. I started a timer on my phone. I said, you know what? I'm curious. How long is this going to take, right? And let's see, I took screenshots yesterday when this was happening. It was 7 seconds. 7 seconds. 7 seconds. But let me tell you, those 7 seconds of me, right, not engaging in him going to the other side of the room, right? He's looking for me to be like, nope, get back here, right? Fuel to the fire, or I'm going to make you, or it's time, and he's still on the other side of the room. Instead, I sat, took some deep breaths, looked down at the diaper, and just paused. Once he knew I wasn't engaging with it, he came running back over. 7 seconds. We went upstairs, right? So this was downstairs. We went upstairs, and now we're reading books, right? And I have a broken foot, and so I'm walking with crutches. And typically, I would hold him and rock him until he's drowsy, and then I would put him down. I would carry him and put him down, but now it's a different routine. He has to walk to his crib I crutch over and then I help pick him up and put him in his crib. It's different, right? And I say that to him. It's different, right? Normally we cuddle and I carry you and now you have to walk. It's different. I'm calling it out for him. I'm connecting to him. I'm letting him know, you're right, this is different. This is hard. This is not what either one of us likes to do. And that's connecting. It's soothing. It's making sense of what's happening. Mm-hmm. So I'm rocking him. He's drowsy. And as he's starting to get into that like area where I'm like, okay, it's time to, I say, remember, it's different. We have to walk over to the crib. And he's upset about it. And I say, I know, it's hard for me. It's hard for you. It's hard for both of us. Connection. I said, but now it's time to walk over to the crib. What does he do? He runs over to, he has a little couch in his bed. He runs over to the couch. What do? Crutch over to his crib. Do the same thing, right? I ground and move over. He's allowed to be upset. He's allowed to go over there. He's allowed to try to get me, right? This is testing boundaries. He's trying to test. What is it? And I, again, show up consistently, show up connectedly, walk over to the crib. And I said, I'm just going to let him, right? In my mind, I'm going to let him. How much time do I have to give us? Let's say 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not going to rock our world. I also know that he's not going to stay engaged over there for 5 minutes, right? So it's this like safe number that I can be like, okay, I've clearly defined a boundary. So what did I do? Set the timer again. It was 1 minute and 13 seconds this time. So a little bit longer, but then he got through his big wave of emotions that he's allowed to have. It's upsetting. He likes the cuddle. I like the cuddle. It's upsetting for me too. We can both share and acknowledge this upset, and I can still stay focused on the task. I can still stay focused on moving the ship forward, allowing him to have his experience in it, and saying, hey, now we're going to come back. And I was like, wow, 7 seconds downstairs, 1 minute and 13 upstairs. Now one might say, wow, he's escalating that. Maybe. I mean, I would have to take more data, right? But one would also argue that this was a more vulnerable time than diaper. Bedtime is a more soft, more vulnerable. It makes more sense that there was bigger emotions around it because it was a more charged moment, right? It was something that was a very tender connection that he wasn't getting. And I can say, you're right, you're not getting it. I can't give it to you. I literally cannot carry you and walk in crutches. It's not safe for me. It's not safe for you.
Wow. Incredible.
I was going to share it with my clients today on our group coaching call about this because I think in those 7 seconds and that minute and 13, it can feel like I'm trapped. It can feel like, oh, he's getting his way. See, he's not listening to me. I have to force him to listen to me. And instead, one might argue I did force him to listen to me because I got clear on what I was doing. And if he handed me a book, I would say, I'm not able to read this book until the diaper. Or I know I'm not going to read this book until after nap. Right? I can still hold the boundary with softness and with warmth and with gentleness and stay firm in where I am.
I love it. Thank you. What are some, for parents who are too permissive? What kind of advice would you give them?
The thing I love about the CLEAR method is it very clearly gives a space for both of the extremes of parenting, meaning authoritarianism, which is someone who is too firm in their ways, too rigid. They're thinking, it's my way or the highway. I'm the adult. You need to listen to me. This like, I need to make you get you. And then on the flip side of that is permissiveness, which is like, I need to be your friend. I need to be nice. I need to make sure that you're safe from all of these big uncomfortable things. Like it's gearing up and like, I become overwhelmed in upset. I need you to be happy. I want you to be happy. And so like both of those sides, I like to say they become a teeter-totter, right? They play with each other, but they also play against each other. And so the CLEAR method gives both starting places. So someone who is too firm or too strict in their parenting, who may be more authoritarian in their parenting style, they're going to really focus in on leaning into connection because they're skipping connection. They're going right into the limit. They're like telling you what to do. I need you to do it right now. I need you to sit down and get on your shoes. Not, wow, it's time to go to school. What do you need to get on your feet, right? That's a foreign language to them. They like look at me like cross-eyed. I have to connect to them, right? So that's where someone who is too strict, too firm. On the flip side, permissiveness, too kind is what I say, too lenient, too fluid in it. Their work is in limits and boundaries. They have connection down. They do value their child's voice. They do value happiness. They do value all of those things. That they're very skilled in that. They need work in the limits and boundaries. And for them, limits and boundaries feel mean. They feel like they're withholding something, right? The situation with me and the toddler at nap and he's crying. If I was more permissive, now my instinct is to be more authoritarian. That's where I like ground. I work very hard to soften into connection because limits is what I feel very secure in. So I would be classified. I would classify myself as the too firm, too strict person. So I lean very hard. I have to take a lot of work to do connection and then step into limits. So what would go on in someone who is more permissive in their style when he's crying is, oh, he wants to play more, or oh, he's having a hard time. I need to remove the struggle for him. I need to make it easier for him, right? And that's where we can start to feel like we're getting taken advantage of by our child, or we're feeling like a doormat, or we have to walk on eggshells to not make them upset. And like that is sending messages of insecurity to the child unconsciously. It's sending like, hey, your overwhelm is too much for me and like I can't handle it. And what the child says is like, hey, if I don't want to do something, I can create overwhelm and then I can avoid doing it. And that can just create such a push-pull in the parent-child relationship. So for someone who's more permissive, get solid in the routines, get solid in the boundary. That way I can stand here, right? I knew it was bedtime. He knew it was bedtime, nap time, and I could stay right there and solid and say, yes, I'm going to meet him here. He's allowed to go to the couch. He's allowed to be upset. It's hard for him, and acknowledge it's hard for me. And I'm right here because I have the strength of connection. When he comes over, I'll pick him up. I'll give him a hug. I can comfort and soothe him and then transition him into nap.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I consider myself too soft, and maybe I'm doing like the opposite because I was growing up with very authoritarian and like my way or the highway. There is no, you're not speaking, you're just following the rules. There is no. And now I think I'm flipped over all the way to the other side.
To the other side.
In my own.
That's so common. And what I'll say, maybe I want you to know, like, it's so common, right? Because when someone who was raised with an authoritarian figure, they feel stripped of their empowerment. Their empowerment was taken away from them. They feel so disempowered. And so that sense, that creates like a little bit of a wound, a little bit of a hot button. So when we're faced with a limit or a boundary or a schedule, or I say schedule loosely, but anything that requires us to like meet a deadline, and we're saying, hey, yeah, you're going to meet the deadline, we feel like it's stripping autonomy. We can feel like it's taking that empowerment away from them too. I'm making him go to nap. I'm making him eat his dinner or sit at the table. I'm making him get on his shoes. I'm making him leave the park. I'm making him, like, that cry is so familiar to our cries when we were trying to cry for a voice. It can create like that same sense of overwhelm. And so I want to encourage anyone who's navigating the same is like, yes, that's real and that's valid and that's in you. And that can go into like a little bit of inner child work, right? Where now we're letting the inner child be the parent, which is like a child parenting a child. It's like, it's a recipe for overwhelm for everyone, but it's okay that wound's there, and it's okay that this is hard, and it's okay because this is something that is related. This is safe. There's flexibility in it, meaning like he was allowed, like if nap time is right at 12:30 and he takes 5 minutes to cry, and I lay him down at 12:35 or 12:40, it's not going to wreck our day. I can have flexibility in it and know that it's still nap time because he needs the nap. I need the nap. I need the like we both need the nap, right? So it's like stating there and reassuring and reaffirming and giving yourself what maybe you are missing is like, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay that this is hard. It's okay that it's not going the way you want it to go, and it's okay, and we'll get there, right? We can soothe ourselves down to stay there. But I know it's hard on either ways, right? Because that's what a lot of the people that I work with, the parents that I work with, they are using the skills and tools that they inherited. And then they're trying to make sense of the tools that they inherited. And then they're like, okay, I didn't like being made to, so I won't make them. Or my parents said they could never afford it, so I'm going to make sure that I can afford it. Like, we just do the opposite. And in turn, what that happens is it recreates the same thing, just in a different way. So if my parents always made me and I'm never going to make them, haven't learned how to do it. If my parents could never afford it and I'm always going to afford it, we still haven't learned how to manage a budget, manage funds, right? It's like we still miss the skill. So we just take like how they did it and we just like invert it, and it actually then does the exact same thing because we're missing what's going on below, which is like the process. We focus on the product and really just getting down to the process of it, right? And what's the conflict? And I use conflict loosely. I'm not saying like fight or aggression. I'm saying conflict as in like the problem that needs to be solved here. And if we can focus on resolving that conflict, now we're teaching them skills. We're teaching them how to navigate it. And sometimes that means that we have to learn how to navigate it first ourselves so that we can teach them how to navigate it. But it's a really beautiful process when we can soften in and kind of see what it was and say, oh, okay, my parents were doing the best that they knew how, and like their toolbox was not good, not good. And I inherited those tools, and now I can step into my own empowerment and supplement those tools. Why? Because I want my kids to have those tools. I want to break the cycle of passing down not the best toolbox and like start to learn that. And that's deeply uncomfortable. It's deeply confronting. It's deeply vulnerable work. And I know it feels so good once that happens. Once parents can navigate those conflicts, they come back to me and they say like, wow, that used to be something so hard for me to do. Last week, a client came and said that their two kids, they stopped in at Old Navy. They had a giant meltdown at Old Navy. And she said, but I felt so good about how I navigated it, right? It wasn't perfect, but I felt so good. Like, I know how my parents would have handled it, and I know how I would have handled it a year ago, and I'm really feeling good about how I'm navigating it today. And like, that is not about perfection. It's not about having compliance with your kids. Not that they're always like, yes, mommy, I will do it, right? They're allowed to be in their human state, and I can feel good about how I'm interacting and what I'm doing about it.
Thank you. Very powerful. And yeah, you're right. We try to flip it over, but it's not in that. We gotta learn the skill to handle it. And I think it's all about balance. Not everything is black and white. There are a lot of shades of gray in between.
So much. Kids are so good at finding gray.
Yes. Is there any book you can recommend on the subject?
Great. Here are my favorite 2 books, or 3 books. I'll give you 3. The first is How to Talk to Kids So They Will Listen, and Listen So That They Will Talk. It's a really good, I say that book is more of like a practical guide. Like, after you get through the first couple chapters, you can like kind of spot go that book. They also have a sister book written by the same authors called Siblings Without Rivalry. So if you have siblings, if you're raising more than one, rivalry is at the core, just really quick aside, rivalry is about resources. And it's about fighting to get those resources. They think that love is a resource that it has a cap. Or they think time is a resource. I mean, time does have a cap, but time, like they're fighting for time. Or they're fighting for resources, they're fighting for connection. They think that they have to fight each other. Now there's a limited resource, and now I have to fight it. So that's what rivalry is. And so that book, again, Siblings Without Rivalry, is a really great book about how to soothe that they don't have to fight for it, that you're going to show up neutrally and address both of them in a disconnected, rational space, which again, I'm number 4 or 5 kids, and I wish my parents had read that book because there's so much. Even we're all adults now, and still it can be a little, right? Because that's our relationship. So Siblings Without Rivalry. And the third is The Whole Brain Child by Dr. Dan Siegel. He's a mentor of mine, and he talks through nervous system regulation, and again, upstairs, downstairs, tantrums. That's his language and his models, and has taught me how to like really be able to discern where And once I know what's in front of me, whether it be a tantrum or a meltdown, I can navigate both. Because here's the thing. When I navigate a tantrum as if it's a meltdown, it'll make tantrums worse. The tantrum will escalate and it will get harder and more bigger for both of us. So learning how to discern and navigate really helps them decrease, not go away, but I can now take steps ahead of time to kind of decrease the stress so that it's easier to navigate through. And on the flip side, if I navigate a meltdown as if it's a tantrum, then there's emotional distance in our relationship and the child's going to start hiding themselves from me. The child's going to start separating from themselves and saying, and kind of putting things like, I don't know if you've ever done like shadow work or some sort of, like, they start to repress these things when it's meant as if it was a tantrum. So really learning how to discern and meet, that's a really great book to do that.
Thank you. Powerful work.
I think it's easy to feel pressure, even in the stories I share, that like, oh, she did it this way and I have to do it. And really, it's not about, again, like the surface. It's coming down and saying, let me find safety and security in me. And it's always like an inside job first. Let me go inside first and then be able to step outside. And learning how to do that in the moment means that we're going to learn how to do it outside of the moment so that then we can step into the moment and do it. So it's about growth, it's about mistakes, it's about learning from those mistakes with gentleness and compassion, and then offering that to the child in front of me.
Thank you. I love it. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
That's a good question. What's my superpower? I think my superpower is, connection. I'll say connection. I worked really hard to find connection for myself and be able to offer it, and being able to navigate those really high stress conflicts does sometimes feel like magic. It feels like a superpower.
Yes, connection is important.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
The most important trait to instill in a child is security. Security meaning they can stand solid, be solid, ground solid. When life happens, they don't get caught up in the waves of it, that they can stand on that solid ground. And that comes from consistency, that comes from comes from trust. I'm going to follow through on what I say I'm going to do. Even when it's hard, it comes from confidence and being able to slow things down.
Thank you. You're so right. And I love how you're able to, when in your clear method, that slowing down and pausing instead of like exploding, because I want it now.
Right? And it's so funny that you say that, because yeah, I want it now, I need you now, it's right now. And then we like get mad when they were like, oh wait, we've taught you this? Oh wait, did I teach you that? I have no idea why they talk to me that way. Wait, have I been talking to you that way? It's hard. It's so hard to be like, wow, they've learned it from somewhere. And I think in that awareness, sometimes we're like, oh, it's my fault. Like it was my fault that they're this way. And I say to that, fault is centered on blame, and I'm not here to blame anyone, because we are always, something I deeply believe in everyone, that they are always showing up and doing their best. And it's about, again, stepping into that, maybe the R of the clear method, the R, and reflecting and doing some self-awareness work and saying like, oh wait, that's not how I wanted that to go. That does not feel good to me. And like, let me learn something new. And that imagine if everybody did that. Imagine if everybody was like, that didn't go the way that I wanted to. Let me slow down. Let me self-reflect, self-assess, learn some new skills, and then try again. Like, what? And to have safety in that, like, it's like, so it sounds like when I'm like, well, I feel really tired. And I'm like, have I been drinking water? Have I been going for a walk? have I rested? Yeah. It's like these very things that sound so basic when we're in that, right? That was 7 seconds over the diaper felt like never. It felt like it was never going to get done. And I think I really had to like time myself to be like, that was literally only 7 seconds. But it felt like, it could have been 7 years.
Yeah, totally. What is one thing you can't live without? Like on your day-to-day basis, what is your non-negotiable?
There's like the pretty answer and there's like the not pretty answer. The pretty answer is water, sunshine, flowers. Like that's like a hug. But like the not pretty answer is like my cell phone, electricity, internet access.
No.
It's like connection. That's the pretty answer. Connection and laughter and then there's like the not pretty answer of like a nap. Well, I guess it's a pretty answer. Yeah, a nap.
All right. But I guess I meant like how you had the resources for you to wait 7 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
How do you get there? Or just repetition and training?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of repetition and training and a lot of just like being able, I mean, a lot of it is like making the mistake of like not even giving myself the 7 seconds and like reacting. Like making the mistake of chasing him. And then it turns into like 30 minutes of me trying to get his diaper changed, right? Of holding him down, kicking and screaming, of him trying to bite me, of like him now anytime becoming highly reactive around diaper changes. And then being like, why is he so against diaper changes? Well, every time it's a diaper change, you chase him, you fight with him, you say things like, why do you always do this? Like, it's a very stressful situation. Like, it makes sense why he doesn't like diaper change. Actually, you don't like diaper changes either.
Maybe for them it's a game, because as soon as you start engaging, they think you're playing with them.
Exactly.
It's fun. It's awesome.
Well, it's like a huge, I mean, we can even to the science of it, it's like a huge dopamine boost. Like the thrill, the chase, the run. It's like they're seeing your face, they're interpreting it. You're in your survival mind. It shifts them into their survival mind. And then it's like fight, flight, freeze, fun. It's like fun because it's so much energy. It's like so much harder to make it boring, right? To slow down, look at the diaper and be like, that's where my focus is. Like that's where literally, there's like a common phrase like energy flows where your intention goes, energy flows. And like that's very real in that state of like my energy is I'm looking at the diaper. Like all of my energy is at the diaper. That's where all of my energy is. I'm not engaging with you running across the room. Like I know you're safe, right? We're in the living room, like you're safe, you can do that. I'm safe. My energy's here.
So right. Thank you.
It's hard.
Yeah. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Let's see. I think that I'll end with something that we had talked about before, is that it's easy to think like, okay, if I'm on board, like this is an easy yes for me, and like I can see how it's valuable to my child, and I want to be that sort of caregiver, grounded, secure, safe person for them. Now I have to make everyone, like their preschool teachers or their babysitters or their other parent or my parents or my friends or my siblings, like I have to get everybody on board with this, and they have to do it my way. Have to like strip them of their empowerment and like make them listen to me like, we've already talked about that. But instead lean into like a child who is in stress or distress. All they need is one safe adult. And if you're listening to this and you're on board with it and you've made it this far, then it makes me think that you are that safe adult. And so I can release that anyone else has to treat them any sort of way, but I can help them make sense of it. I can help them be there, be consistent, be firm and kind, or kind and firm, however you want to look at it. And that can be me. And when a child who is going through any sort of stressful moment, be it a diaper change, be it a move, be it a loss of a family member or a pet, be it a separation, be it anything that can cause stress, be it not getting the blue cup when they wanted the red cup, or getting the red cup when they wanted the blue cup, right? Any sort of stress, right? I can be that person, which is like with great power comes great responsibility. And the clear method helps me tap into that responsibility and handle it with care and sensitivity so that I can be that safe person for them. Because that's what they need. We all need one person to call up and say, hey, I had a hard day. My boss yelled at me. I woke up late. I got a flat tire, and they're like, "Wow, that sounds like a hard day." To be that safe person for them.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. You're so right. We just need that sounding board and that person who can be on our side just for a little bit.
Just for a little bit. Not to fix, not to do, just be with.
Yeah. Thank you. If people would like to connect on, or learn more about you, where would they go?
They can find me at my website, www.bekindcoaching.com. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at MegAnne.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll include everything in episode notes. I love the work that you are doing. It's really incredible, and I always learn something new from my guests, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Irina, and thanks for asking such good questions. Got me sharing.